The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you. Hello, and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist, Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
your uncle's creepy roommate, that is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him.
Yeah.
We're just roommates.
He's so weird in this. Right?
Yeah. Which him are you talking about? The Baron or Ludwig?
Ludwig. Like
Okay.
the introduction of Ludwig when she's like, Victor, and he's just like, no. And then walks out.
Right.
Like, what is your deal, man? Like, so.
It's amazing. This is a good one. Okay, so if you all didn't know, we're talking about Frankenstein Reborn from 1998, also from Full Moon Productions, which you gotta love Full Moon.
And this one's weird because it's like, so I kind of looked up some stuff about it because, like, it's real short for one, and it starts with this really long title card thing.
Well, not only that, but it's like an intro from Full Moon about, like, I guess at this time they were trying to make like a TV series.
Yeah,
in the vein of the Monsters or Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, it's called Filmonsters, all squished together, one M between the two words.
And we get our first introduction of the puppets from Puppet Master.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
they
see like
the last of them.
They're all like digging up a grave, and then you see like these weird kind of clawed hands reach out. So apparently, yeah, the Full Moon was trying to do a like PG, kid-friendly TV series that was each one was gonna focus on a different monster. They ended up filming two. They did Frankenstein Reborn, and then they did The Werewolf Reborn, and then decided that it wasn't going to work out, and they just released them on VHS, and that was it.
Right. Well, yeah, you can tell they had grandiose plans because they even had, like, when they were doing the pan across the graveyard, there's, like, tombstones for every one of the monsters. But we also had the Hunchback and the Invisible Man and, a couple others.
Yeah, I think there's, like, the Phantom of the Opera, even.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
They had a bunch of Universal dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Quite got there.
Yeah, so but luckily we did get Frankenstein at least.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, once we get that little like introduction thing, we start in a very Frankenstein movie kind of way. We've got a horse-drawn carriage traveling through a dark forest, arriving at a big castle with a sign up front that says Frankenstein. So
right.
You know
with
exactly.
With a nice spiky portcullis. You gotta love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very gothic, and yeah, we're just making sure you know what's going on right away.
Well, where was this castle? Is this actually in like Romania or somewhere in Europe, or is this somewhere else?
Because that doesn't. I think Full Moon owns a castle or two in Romania that they film a lot of their stuff in.
Yeah, because of subspecies.
Mm-hmm. And I think
Castle
Castle
it's
Free.
Literally the same. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I bet this is the same place.
Gotta be.
But so yeah, this time the carriage pulls up, and like a young, like teen, tween kind of girl gets out.
Clearly from the 90s.
Oh yeah. This is very much like Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps, like that kind of.
Now, you said teen or tween. There is no way this lady is under 20 years old.
Yeah, probably so.
If you told me she's 25, I'll buy that at the time.
Yeah.
But she's clearly playing someone who's under the age of 18.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, I'm not buying it, Full Moon. I'm not buying what you're selling in this case.
Yeah, I would definitely believe that. So her name is Haven Pascal. Mm-hmm. She was born in 1980, so yeah, when this came out, she would have been 18.
Okay.
So,
fine. All right.
Yeah.
My bad. Discomfort me.
yeah, but they're definitely trying to make her be like 13 or 14. Definitely not in the late teens.
Right. I guess this goes back to the whole thing of people born like before the 90s look perpetually way older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But so she like gets out and goes and like knocks on a door. The door is answered by this really kind of rude woman. I could never get a read on what this woman is supposed to be. Like, is she the housekeeper or like what is her deal?
Yes. I think she's whatever the script needed her to be at the time. But in general, she was like housekeeper slash. If you told me she was the secretary of Frankenstein, I would believe you. Maybe his bookkeeper, just all around other lady in the house.
She's a very severe lady in like a pantsuit kind of thing and like, librarian glasses. Kind of a Frau Blucher kind of character, sort of, but more modern.
Well, isn't the character's name Frau Hirschner?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I feel like they're taking inspiration from young Frankenstein.
Yeah, and so she is like not expecting anybody, any visitors, and is like, "Who are you? You're not supposed to be here." And the girl says, "I'm Anna.
Early.
I'm Anna Frankenstein." And she's like, "Oh, we weren't expecting you till tomorrow. We're not ready for you." And
You're such a nuisance.
Yeah, it like almost looks like she's gonna like close the door and send her away. And Anna's like, "Sorry, they put me on an earlier train. I couldn't help it." And she's like, "Okay, fine." So she lets her in, but she's like, "Stand right here in the hallway. Don't touch anything. Don't wander off. I've got to go check in with Victor." So,
and just stand in this one spot marked by X by the field of the crew, and that way Ludwig can run into you and hit the mark, right?
Yeah. So yeah, then while she's waiting, as we already kind of mentioned, a man bumps into her. He's got like long, greasy black hair, and she's like, "Victor," and he just says no, and then just like keeps walking.
Right,
so,
not no, who are you? Just no.
Yeah. And so then the Frau comes back out from one of the doors and says, "Okay, he'll see you," and leads Anna into a study where she meets Victor, her uncle.
Dun, dun, dun. Turns out her family mysteriously died in a car wreck, or not so mysteriously. They just died in a car wreck. And someone sent her here to live with her estranged uncle.
Yeah, and he's not happy. He's like, "So I guess I'm just stuck with you now since my brother died." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry for being such an inconvenience."
Right, that lazy bastard always dying.
And he's like, "All right, so here's the deal. You can go out in the woods during the day to romp, but I don't want you wandering around the castle. You can't explore inside anywhere. I don't need you disrupting my important experiments. This is not only my home, this is my place of work, so you need to respect that."
Right. Well, Anna doesn't romp. That's not her thing. She prefers to read. And or Baron Frankenstein, whatever, is very, Victor, I guess, is very, surprised by that. He's like, "You're a girl who can read?"
Yeah.
Like, by the way, he's dressed up like someone from the 1800s, and she is clearly from the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, she's like, "Yeah, I love to read." And he's like, "Oh, well, I actually have an entire library in the house." And she's like, "Cool, where is it?" And he's like, "Oh, no, you can't go
you don't
there."
Go. We'll get you some children's books.
Yeah, I'll send Hirschner out to get you some. So she's like, "Okay, fine." And so she goes back out into the hallway and starts asking her a bunch of questions. Frau Hirschner's like, "Yeah, I'm not here to answer your questions. You need to go to bed. Like, you're on my nerves now."
You're supposed to be pretty, and curiosity is unattractive. So,
right.
And if you read too much, it'll give you one of them squints, like a smart person. Which, I mean, I'm not downing the lady who's playing Frau Hirschner, but also, you're not exactly a model. I don't...
Yeah, and she's like, she keeps talking about being feminine and like attractive and stuff, and she's in like tweed
pantsuit.
Yeah, she's not like dressed like she's trying to impress men or anything.
Right, no, she looks like a businesswoman.
Yeah. That night, Anna is laying in bed and she hears this kind of like humming vibration coming through the floor. And, she just kind of like puts her head to the floor trying to tell what's going on and can't hear anything. But then we get to go down and see what's going on, which is that Victor and Ludwig, his assistant, are working in the lab and bringing a creation to life.
Right. For the most part, we just get like fingers and like they're talking about, oh, it's coming, it lives now. Which,
yeah.
Okay.
The hands just kind of like twitching a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I was really confused because like it seems like the creature's awake, but I guess it was just kind of like temporarily, like slightly rejuvenated.
Or the editor cut the scenes out of order.
Both equally possible with Full Moon.
Yes, 100%. They just ran with it. That's the Full Moon seal of approval right there.
Right.
Seal of quality.
Yeah. So then the next morning, Anna is sitting down to breakfast. And all the servants kind of come in one by one, sitting down different plates. And she's just like, hi, I'm Anna. My name's Anna. And none of the servants will like look at her or talk to her at all.
It's a really good gag. They just walk right past her.
Yeah. And then finally, there's like a young servant who comes in last. And she's just like, hi, I'm George. And he's like, nice to meet you, George.
You don't look much like a George, but okay.
Yeah. And then we just cut to like a little later. Anna is out in the yard and she bumps into that same young guy again. And he's like, hey,
Thomas.
George. And yeah, he introduces himself as Thomas. And she's like, my name's not really George, it's Anna. And he's like, oh, that's a much more fitting name for you. That makes more sense.
I feel like girls being called George in the 90s was a thing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Georgina or something like that.
Yeah. That it's the same, like, Samantha's that go by Sam. There was
Sam.
kind of that like gender neutral kind of nickname thing going on.
Right.
But she's like, why won't anybody talk to me around here? Like, I'm just kind of alone. And Thomas is like, maybe Victor doesn't really want us to talk to you. And I think that maybe it's because he's afraid you'll find something out that he doesn't want you to know.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, and obviously Anna's a very curious person, so she's like, okay, yeah, let's find it. Whatever it is, I want to learn what it is. And he's like,
he knows how to get into trouble. He knows what he's looking for around there.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know much, but I do know that there's some, like, new additions to the castle. Some parts are newer than others, and there's some vents. And I don't know where those go, but I don't think it's, part of the original blueprints. So they must be part of whatever Victor's up to.
Right. So let's go snooping. Let's do that. And I like how Anna's like, yeah, you seem pretty proficient at, like, snooping, so, what's up with that? And he's like, well... You start about in the age of 5, get your beatings in early, and then you can move on to bigger and better things with less repercussions.
Yeah. Now I'm so good at it because I've had all this practice. And
yeah, Thomas is a pro at B&E.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I've been everywhere in the castle. I know the whole castle inside and out, except the basement is locked up tight. Nobody ever goes in there except for the Baron and Ludwig.
Yeah. And Ludwig has a really weird, like, run of the house, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Thomas he's like, I do know the whole rest of the house, though, so we could start there. And he just kind of gives her a tour of the house, takes her to the library that she's wanted to see. And they find that it's really just full of medical texts and various, like, notebooks full of, information about Victor's various experiments.
Right, and like old school ring binders, which that's interesting to see besides, really nicely wrapped and procured books.
Yeah. And so Anna looks through some of Victor's notes and it describes animal experimentation. And like there's a code at first that they have trouble and it's like D by D and then D by P, which turns out to be death by drowning and death by poisoning. So Victor is killing animals and then trying to revive them.
Very Victor thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And so the last entry in the book, which was a while ago, she's like, there must be newer ones somewhere else. But the last entry describes a dog that was killed by poison and revived for like 48 hours or so before it finally...
42 hours.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, she tries to get Thomas to read the book in the meantime, but he's like, I can't read, I'm the son of a gaffer, I think he says. And I feel like that's something that just came out of Lord of the Rings. I don't know that they were called gaffers. Let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and she's like, well, that you need to learn to read. And he's like, yeah, but I mean, I've got other, like, I can garden way better than you can. Like, we have different skill sets.
Fair.
Yeah. And so while they're working in there, they also see out the window Victor and Ludwig arrive back at the castle in a carriage, and they've got a coffin in the back that they carry inside.
Well, I feel like this is also kind of a nod to Young Frankenstein because we do hear dogs barking initially, but then the horses start neighing, and I'm like, I'm side-eyeing you real close, movie.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I mean, it's just they've got a sound effect library that they're having fun with, but yeah, it definitely feels like a nod to Young Frankenstein.
Right.
And so they see Victor and Ludwig carry the coffin inside, and then we cut down to the lab where they're examining the corpse they've removed.
Yeah, they've got new parts.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, the head's not in good shape, the legs are bad, but the torso's mostly okay. And Victor's like, good, I want the arms and like the shoulder muscles, I think was what he was looking for. And so they're going to add those parts to the creation. I think then we cut to like the next day. Thomas and Anna are continuing to discuss like how are we going to find stuff tonight.
We're going to go down the basement tonight.
Yeah, and Thomas is like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Like, I could lose my job. You could get sent to an orphanage or something. I don't. This could be really bad for both of us.
I mean, to be fair, for Anna, this is just like getting sent to an orphanage is a sideways transition, right?
Yeah, it's not like she's in a good situation here necessarily. Right. And so she convinces Thomas, and he's like, all right, fine, we'll continue our research tonight. We'll see what we can find.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Ludwig and Frankenstein, or Victor, preparing the monster / mummy.
Yeah, so they're actually starting to revive the creation, and Anna and Thomas, meanwhile, manage to like lift up one of the grates and like crawl down this tunnel that's they think leads to Victor's lab.
Oh, can we talk about one of Ludwig's preparations is to just load up a big fucking hand cannon?
Yeah.
Right, because Frankenstein's like, what are you going to do? He's not an animal. You can't just shoot it if it comes back and it's bad. And Ludwig's like, of course I can. Humans are the most dangerous animals.
Right. And so I think Thomas goes down the tunnel first, right? And I don't think either of them see anything, but they kind of like hear shouting and like just a general commotion. And Thomas is like, turn around, go back, something's wrong. They get out, and she's like, what'd you see? And he's like, I didn't see anything, but something bad's going on down there. We don't need any part of whatever was happening there.
Right.
But then they end up seeing the creature who has somehow made his way upstairs and is crossing some sort of like drawbridge of some kind.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the revivification part. So Ludwig and Victor raise up the monster out of its little pit, and they discuss that, the pit, we can't keep him too long because it's going to set something on fire because it's so hot down there. We don't know what the hell is this pit other than just an electricity pit. We don't know. But anyway, the monster is very flimsily tied to its bracing. So it easily just kind of shakes itself out. Then we have a wonderful little fight scene where the monster looks like I wouldn't say a bastardized version of the Karloff makeup, but pretty fucking close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's actually not too bad. Like it looks decent, but it's definitely lower budget than a Universal movie.
It's slightly better than a Halloween costume.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we expect out of Full Moon, so that's fine. But so we have a nice fight between Ludwig and Victor and the monster. But that's when the monster fully escapes. And once again, as you were discussing with Anna and Thomas being outside, and they're like, oh, what was that? The monster's just on the fucking gangway of the castle.
Yeah, and he's just, doing
drawbridge.
like like good old Frankenstein growl sounds.
Yeah.
And they're both like, they're scared and kind of rush away.
The monster chases, though. Their creation chases them, but no resolution to that.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, I guess they got into their rooms, and the monster just gave up. Who knows?
Yeah. And so then the next morning, Anna is awoken by Frau Hirschner, who says that Victor needs to see her. So she escorts Anna down to Victor's room, not his office, and he is like in bed injured. It's like Victor and Ludwig have like some news that they need to share with their like it feels
right.
It feels like they're going to be like, so we're having a new baby brother or something.
Right. Listen, these guys, They're not overtly gay at all, but they're absolutely gay. For me. 100%.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
They're a couple.
And so they're like, we just want to have a little talk with you in case you might have overheard anything last night that might have confused you.
Right, there was a crazy person that we're trying to help him heal.
Mm-hmm. So that's Victor's big experimentation, is he's working to like improve mental health stuff. And so
that's what he says.
Yeah, they were working to cure insanity, and they had a patient last night that didn't do well, that was upset. But everything's okay now. And then Anna's like, so was it a success?
Yeah.
And Victor's like, what?
Yeah.
And she's like, the guy, did you cure him? And he's like, oh, yeah, he's good. It's totally fine. Everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they can't even remember their lie long enough to carry on the conversation.
Well, they don't care, and they don't think Anna's smart enough to follow them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's be honest. But after she leaves, Ludwig's like, hey, I think I tracked the monster to the lake.
Yeah,
so.
I couldn't find him at the lake, but I think he's somewhere around there, so we need to search further. And then we immediately cut to the lake, where the creature sees a woman, like, picnicking. She's got a baby with her, and he's, like, curious, he's not, like, angry or violent, but he wants to know what's going on there. But, of course, when the lady turns and sees him, she gets scared, she screams, a hunter approaches and fires.
Is it a hunter, or is it supposed to be, like, the husband? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, he had, like, a shotgun, so that just made me assume he was the hunter, but it could be either way. But, yeah, he shoots the creature and blasts, like, a big hole in his chest. And then the creature grabs him and strangles him.
Right, yeah, of course, By the way, I like how the guy shoots the creature at range and then runs up on him. It's like, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But, these are, like, it's pretty, like, classic variations of things we've seen before in Frankenstein movies. Yeah. We cut back to the castle, where Anna's talking to Thomas again, and she tells him what Victor told her. And they're like, right. Yeah, that's not, he's lying.
Right. Well, Thomas is like, he's not that's no man, what we saw last night. Like, Victor's doing some weird witchcraft and conjuring up spirits and shit.
Yeah.
That was a ghost.
And Thomas is like, I am out. Whatever that was, I'm done. And Anna's like, well, I'm going to follow the creature's trail. Don't you want to come with me and make sure I'm safe?
Nope.
And he's like, nope. I said I'm out, and I'm out.
You know what? Good for him.
So she goes on without him and she finds her way down to the lake as well, finds some of the creature's bandages, like, carefully hanging in trees, as if he's leaving a trail of breadcrumbs.
Right. And she just stumbles on him all casual like.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how she's like, hey, buddy, how you doing?
Yeah. And, like, he's calm, and since she's calm, like, nothing, things don't go south again. And she's like, I'm just here to help. I want to help you.
I won't tell anyone you're here.
Yeah. And, of course, he doesn't speak in return or anything. And then we just cut to, like, I guess it's the next day. At first I thought it was dinner, but I think it's breakfast. So.
Absolutely has to be breakfast. Because there is a fucking plate full of loaves of bread. Like, we're talking a bakery worth of bread on this one little plate. Mm-hmm. And she just, like, steals half of it and shoves it into her bag.
Yeah, it's just like this big bag, and she, like, 1-2 loaves of bread, maybe she could have pulled off, but, like, yeah, it's like easily like 6 full loaves of bread. You'd think that the servants would be like, what are you doing? Like, how are you eating 6 whole loaves of bread as a teenage girl?
Right. Well, one of the cooks is like, here, I got you a bagged lunch. She doesn't say anything because she probably wasn't paid to, but she just hands her a bagged lunch and was like, cool, thanks, to go with my several loaves of bread.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's like, I'm going to go romp in the woods then. See you all later. And so she heads out and bumps into Thomas on the way out and is like, I'm going back down to the lake. I saw the thing yesterday, and, we need to help him. And Thomas is still like, nope, not interested. Definitely not going with you.
Right, exactly. Now, unfortunately, someone overheard this conversation, and that someone is Ludwig.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he goes to, like, report to Victor as Anna runs into the creature again, checks on his wounds, which are healing really fast, and she gives him some food and starts asking him all kinds of questions because, it's well established at this point that Anna is very curious about everything.
Right. Well, the monster's just trying to fucking eat. He's just like, I want some bread. That's it. No talk, only bread.
And she's like, I'm sorry. I know I'm so lonely here. I just need a real friend. And then the creature says, friend. Our previously nonverbal monster has his first word. And, Anna seems kind of like excited about that. Then we just cut to like the next morning, and Frau Hirschner is waking Anna up, and she's got a giant stack of kids' books.
Yeah.
Like kids' books, like picture books.
Like baby, like toddlers. What are they? The golden seal or whatever those things were.
Yeah.
From Disney. Yeah.
And Anna's like, what are those? And she's like, they're books. You wanted books. And she's like, those are kids' books. And she's like, yeah.
Do you want them or not?
Yeah, you're a kid. Take it or leave it. And Anna's like, okay, fine, leave them. That's fine. I think that she's like, I don't know why you want to read anyway. This is where she says the thing about,
give the squint.
Yeah, reading will make you squint. That's a waste of time for a young lady.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then we just cut to Anna leaving the house again. She's filled her bag with the books this time, so she's got to hold the bread. So she's carrying a couple loaves of bread and bumps into Ludwig on the way out. And he looks
As she does.
She's like giving him, or he's giving her a side eye, like, what are you doing with a bunch of loaves of bread? And she's like, for the ducks.
Ducks, yeah.
And he's like,
don't do that, by the way. Don't do the bread for the ducks thing. That's bad.
Yeah, it's not healthy for him. I definitely did that when I was a kid, but yeah, I've heard that recently. It's not good. Definitely don't feed a couple ducks like a bunch of giant loaves of bread. Like,
God. I mean, unless you plan to eat those ducks for dinner.
Right, yeah.
Probably don't do it then either. I mean,
yeah. But, Ludwig knows what's up. He does not believe her at all, but, he's like, right, okay, sure. And so, again, Anna bumps in, or, runs into the creature in the woods, and they sit down, and she tries to teach him some words with the books, which was smart. Like, that was really clever on Anna's part to be like, yes, these kids' books, I can't use them, but they might help him.
I know someone who can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she, starts teaching about the difference between men, women, boys and girls. And she points to herself, and he's like, girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he gets girl and friend and Anna, and that's about it. Like, she tries to get him to say tree. He can't do tree. But, he's making progress. He's, tripled the amount of words he could say in one day.
Right. I mean, literally, he's, 2 days old
at
this point?
Yeah. So,
good for him.
Yeah, he's doing well. Anna's a good teacher. It's working out well. Then it just cuts to her coming back to the castle that evening, and she goes into her room, and it's been, like, ransacked. There's just stuff strewn everywhere, and she's pissed. Like, she's a teen girl. I mean, like, nobody wants their room ransacked, but, like, especially...
Privacy's fucked.
Yeah. So she's mad. She goes and finds Frau Hirschner and is like, somebody just tore my room apart. Like, what's going on? And she's like, yeah, that's not your room. This isn't your castle. Everything here belongs to the Baron.
Yeah, I didn't know you paid rent.
Yeah, she said, you're no more than a beggar. Like, nothing here belongs to you.
I mean, she's not wrong, but also she doesn't have to be a dick about it.
Yeah. Also, did you notice that throughout this whole scene, the boom mic just keeps dropping into the shot?
Yep.
Like, that's always just like, people talk about it as being like a sign of like, bad filmmaking, but like it's rare that you actually see it, but like it's the whole scene, it's in the shot. It's basically
really hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
Well, this is full moon. Come on, they know what's up.
Yeah. And this isn't even like a full moon feature. This is a 45-minute pilot thing from Full Moon, so they were just cranking this out, I'm sure.
And here's the question though: with Full Moon, it's a 50-50 shot whether it was a legit accident or if it was an intentional accident.
Yeah, I would believe it. I think then Anna kind of storms off from the Frau, who's not helpful.
No.
And she rushes to... Or no, there's like a door in the room they're in, and she goes through it, which she's never gone through before. And that ends up leading her to Victor's lab. So she is actually... But Victor and Ludwig are down there as well. She sees Ludwig first and is like...
I'm here to see my uncle.
Yeah. And he's like, sure, he's back here. I'll take you to him. So, she goes and she tells Victor that somebody tore up her room. And Ludwig's like, yeah, that was me. I did it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I did it.
And so she's pissed, obviously. Victor and Ludwig are like, we need to know what you know.
Right.
You need to tell us everything that you know what's going on. And she's like, well, I know that you've been bringing dead things back to life. And Victor's like, no, we're not just bringing dead things back to life. We made a new thing and brought it to life. We created life. I have banished death. And she seems pretty, like, shocked by that. And he's like, well, you lost your parents. Wouldn't it be great if I could figure this out and your parents could be back?
Right, I could bring back my brother and his wife.
Mm-hmm. And so Anna's like, but what about friend? And they're like, friend?
Who's that?
Yeah. So she's given the creature a name, which I think that's very sweet. Like, naming him friend, I like that. She pretty much just like accidentally says that, and she's like, "Oh no, I've said too much. Like I've admitted that I have found the man in the woods." Mm-hmm. And Victor's like, "Yeah, he's a new creation, so he has, he's made of corpses, but like because he's a new creation, his brain doesn't have the memories of the person it was taken from. It's like he's been born again. He's an infant, basically."
Yeah.
Which
makes sense.
Yeah. Victor's like, we need your help so that we can find and capture him. And she's like, no, he didn't do anything. I'm not gonna let you capture him. They're like, he killed a man. Like we have to, we have to protect the village and we have to protect ourselves. We need to get him to safety, that we can't just have him out.
If the villagers find out, we're in trouble next.
Yeah, and she still refuses, so they lock her in a cell. Victor and Ludwig are arguing, and like Ludwig's like, I thought he was going to die. I didn't think he was going to survive, or else we would have looked more for him.
He's regenerating way too fast at this point. He's unstoppable.
Yeah. Then Thomas finds Anna, and like they talk through the cell door, and she's like begging him to help. Like she can't get out, but she needs. The creature is not safe, and like she kind of convinces him like he's not dangerous, he's good, and he's gonna be hurt, and we that's not fair. So she gives him something to tell the creature, but we don't hear it. Like cuts away. So Thomas ends up in the woods finding the creature, and he's like, I've got a message for you from Anna. But before you can say what it is, Victor appears. He's followed
with a
Thomas.
torch. He's like, hey, you remember fire? Fire hurts, doesn't it? It's like, when did we see that? Like, if you're talking about the movie from the 30s, yeah, we saw it there.
Yeah.
But not here.
Yeah, they're just like relying on everybody knowing the fire bad trope. But like, this creature has not encountered fire at all, as far as we know. He's encountered a shotgun, but not fire.
No.
But yeah,
but
in this case, he acts. Yeah, he's scared. He's like backing away from it, and then Ludwig sneaks up behind him and injects him with some sort of knockout drug or something.
Or as another reference to Young Frankenstein.
Sedative.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, this is the actual horror version of Young Frankenstein. Except he's now older.
It kind of is.
Yeah, really. Except they combined Igor and what was Terry Garr's character's name?
What was
they combined that into Ludwig, basically.
Yeah, yeah. You're not wrong.
Right? Yeah. Tell me that they're not singing the same song. Roll, roll, roll into hay.
So then we cut back to the castle where Thomas is talking to Anna through the door again, and he's like, Victor followed me into the woods. I wasn't able to help. They've captured the creature. And she's like, then you gotta help me get out of here. Like, find the key. We've got to save him.
Right. So, I was like, oh, she gave him a side quest. It feels very much like you'll get 100 XP for doing this. And like... It's just so trivial. He just runs to Ludwig's room, grabs the keys, and unlocks her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And while he's doing that, we cut to Victor and Ludwig, who are discussing the creature. He's, knocked out, unconscious, but still alive. And they're like, we gave him enough drugs that it would have killed several men. So the drugs aren't going to work. And they're like, okay, we need to put him back down in the, this weird mysterious hole we were talking about where they revived him. If we leave him down there long enough, it'll incinerate him.
But that's when the creature says, friend.
Mm-hmm. So he's awake, and Victor is like, okay, I can't, he can speak. He's not just a thing. He's a man. I can't kill him.
And Ludwig's like, nope, we got to kill it. It's not a man. Not a man. Don't believe that.
Yeah, he is a monster that we've made, and he's a killer. We have to put an end to him. So then Victor and Ludwig start fighting. And while they're fighting, the creature manages to break free and instantly knocks Ludwig down into the hole, where we get like the worst CGI fire erupting out of the hole that I've ever seen.
Like After Effects is better, right?
Mm-hmm. This is like Birdemic level, just like fire. So yeah, it's silly. Around that time, Thomas finally gets Anna out. They rush in to help.
But somehow during the fight between Ludwig and Victor, apparently Ludwig mortally wounded Victor.
Yeah, so Victor's stuck. The creature's kind of there with him, and Victor's like, this this hole or whatever that's acting as an incinerator is about to erupt. It's going to explode. You need to get out now.
Right. Can we talk about how the Victor's Strayan kind of breaks here at this point? It's like he's speaking with an American accent, but this man is clearly from Australia.
Yeah,
it just cracks just that ever so much.
Yeah. And so this is kind of like a sort of reverse We Belong Dead kind of moment. Like, they're like, you go, like, you still have life to live, but Victor and the creature need to stay. So Thomas and Anna get out, and the house erupts in flames, and again, it's
so
like
terrible.
Like, this is just, they've just got a static shot of the castle with, like, animated flames.
Right. And it's like the vertical flames, they turned them on their side to go out the windows.
Yeah, it like blasts out like it's like a flamethrower coming out the window. It's so silly. Yeah. And so yeah, Thomas and Anna just stand in the woods watching as the castle burns down.
Hey, Anthony, you know what we get?
We
get an abrupt ending!
It's been a little while.
It's been a while. We've been getting denouements and resolutions here. Fuck that noise.
Yeah. I guess this is one of the more traditional Frankenstein movies we've done in a while. So of course we got to have an abrupt ending.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And
so Anna's an orphan twice over now.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah, and her and Thomas are just kind of like out on their own now. I don't know. It's definitely like it feels. I mean, it's very abrupt because it's like, what is going to happen to these two kids now?
Fuck it. We ain't got time to worry about that. We ain't got the time or the budget.
I'm guessing that Werewolf Reborn is a whole different story. I don't imagine that it is like a sequel with the two of them finding a werewolf.
I'm going to watch that on my time, and I'm going to report back.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as well. Mm-hmm. We should tell the Silver Scream about it. They'll have to get on that as well.
Absolutely, they'll get a kick out of this. Either that, or they'll be like, "What did you do? Why would you tell us this?"
Yeah, but it definitely feels like a missed opportunity. Like with there just being these like 2 stray episodes that got dropped to straight to video at some point. Mm-hmm. Full Moon has some iconic stuff. We talked about the Puppet Master movies and Subspecies, and they did Reanimator and everything, but this is not a Full Moon picture that I've ever heard people talk about.
No.
And it feels like if it had been a series, if they'd done even 6 or 8 episodes of this or more, I think this would have been something that people would talk about oh, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with this. It'd be like Are You Afraid of the Dark or the Goosebumps TV series. It would have this kind of cult following among people our age who saw it when they were kids.
Well, even nowadays, there's literally no reason for them not to go back, right? Because they have the Full Moon streaming service. For God knows, they've done so many Evil Bong movies.
Yeah, there's I think 10 of those if you count the spin-off ones and stuff. And the one with the
ginger dead man.
Yeah. Yeah, and those things are, I mean...
There's something.
There's something, yeah. And yeah, I think we talked about last time, they're even, a lot of the movies they're making now are 45-minute to an hour-long movies anyway, so they basically are the length of this, because this was 45 minutes. But yeah, they could easily bring this back, and, I mean, it would be super cool if they just dropped Dracula Reborn all of a sudden and just kept going from there. But it seems like right now, Full Moon is all about the giant women movies. That's their big thing at the moment. So I don't know. Maybe they'll get tired of those and move on to some classic monster stuff again.
I hope so. It's very sad. We need to tell who's the guy who runs Full Moon?
Charles Band.
Yeah, Charles Band. That's right. We need to tell him, come on, man. Go back to your roots. Let's get some more Reborn.
Yeah, it's time. And I think even so, I can't remember on the movie, like the credits. I can't remember who it said the director was, but it wasn't a name I recognized. But IMDb says that it was directed by David DeCoteau, who directs like a good like half of the things that Full Moon does. So I'm guessing that it was like, we're doing a kids movie and you also do a lot of porn, so make up a fake director name for this. But he's still around doing stuff, so they could easily just put him on this as well. And yeah, I mean, it seems like a easy like slam dunk for them. So I don't know.
What's the name? Something like Franklin Schmitty or something like that. The one that any director doesn't want. Who doesn't want to?
Oh, Alan Smithy.
Alan Smithy. Thank you. Yeah, they could just slap Alan Smithy on there, but no. I mean,
yeah,
this is fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not really like any kind of innovative thing. Like, it's the basic Frankenstein stories we've seen over and over again. Adding the orphan girl to it's kind of a fun little twist, but it's not doing anything too wild other than just like making a Frankenstein story accessible for kids, which I think that's a noble pursuit. I wish like if they had gone on with this, like it could have been something. I mean, it definitely like these definitely would have been something that like I held very dear if I had seen when I was a kid. Like this would have been some serious gateway horror for me.
At least as well as I regard the Puppet Master series, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. Like I'm like we were saying, I'm definitely going to check out the werewolf one now just for my own personal curiosity. It's on Tubi. It's like 45 minutes. There's definitely worse ways to spend an hour.
Right. Yeah, I mean, not even an hour. It's just slightly longer. If you've watched an episode of like Game of Thrones or something, there you go. Boom. Mm-hmm. It's easily under that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's there's not like any really like deep themes to dig into in this. Like it's pretty straightforward. It's just the kind of standard. But there's some little nice things in there. Anna being curious and understanding and like welcoming to the creature and naming him friend. Like some of that stuff was like, that's pretty cool. Like I liked that.
Yeah, I don't think we've technically had one named Friend, have we? Have we had
a creature named Friend?
Yeah, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much all I've got on this one. It's pretty straightforward.
Right. I mean, yeah, there's no deep, complex thoughts or anything else running around here. It's just a bunch of cool things. And set pieces, which that's a Full Moon Studios production, so.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, listen, the name Frankenstein Reborn is so good, I think maybe we should go back to it. Okay? Because there's another movie called Frankenstein Reborn, not done by Full Moon Studios. This is from 2005 next week is what we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a little bit more recent, and this is an actual feature, like hour and a half long movie. So, and I've not seen it, so I'm curious to check it out as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if that's the case, where can they find us, Anthony?
So you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. You can also find us at YouTube, and you can find us at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we're still doing our free trials. We've had a bunch of people in the past few days jump on that, so definitely stop by, try things out, see what you think, and we'd love to have you permanently, or we'd just love for you to hear what we're doing over there, and if you leave afterwards, that's fine as well. Just we'd like for you to hear what we're doing.
We're always creating new content, and we try to do like some one-off stuff. That seems to be probably the best. So we'll see how that turns out. We'll try to do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, in that case, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.